And finally, it's the glittering new addition to the Las Vegas skyline.
Vegas skyline changing again recently.
Yeah, guys, it's a beautiful day out here, and it has people asking, what is this behind me?
Imagine spending $2.3 billion on something and then watching it burn money faster than you can count. Sounds crazy, right? But this is exactly what happened in the heart of Las Vegas, where a massive glowing ball promised to change entertainment forever, but instead became one of the most expensive mistakes in modern history. Today, we are going to dive deep into how a billionaire's dream turned into a financial nightmare. And trust me, by the end of this video, you will understand why even the smartest people can make the dumbest decisions when ego gets in the way. So buckle up, because this story has everything: drama, money, technology, and a whole lot of bad choices. Let me paint you a picture. It is February 2018, and a billionaire named James Dolan stands in front of investors and media with a wild idea. He wants to build a giant sphere in Las Vegas that will be covered with over 1 million LED lights on the outside and have the world's biggest LED screen on the inside. He is talking about a structure that is 366 feet tall and 516 feet wide, basically a building shaped like a perfect ball that can display anything you can imagine. The exterior, which they call the exosphere, can show giant eyeballs, planets, emojis, basically anything that will make people on the Las Vegas Strip stop and stare. And the inside? Picture this: 18,600 seats, all facing the world's largest 16K resolution LED screen that wraps around you with 167,000 speakers, creating sound so precise you can hear a pin drop in a specific location. Sounds incredible, right? But here is where things start to get interesting, because building something that has never been built before comes with problems that nobody can predict. Construction begins in September 2018, and the initial budget is set at $1.2 billion. Now, you might think that is already a massive amount of money, and you would be right, but little did anyone know this was just the beginning. Dolan and his team at Madison Square Garden Company, which later becomes Sphere Entertainment Company, start working with a construction firm called AECOM. Everything seems to be going according to plan until 2020 hits, and you know what that means. The pandemic shuts down construction for 5 whole months. Supply chains break down, workers cannot come to the site, and suddenly, the timeline that was supposed to see the Sphere open in 2021 gets pushed all the way to 2023. But wait, it gets worse. In December 2020, Dolan makes a decision that will haunt this project forever. He fires AECOM, the general contractor, and decides to take construction management in-house. Why would someone do this, you might ask? Well, according to reports, Dolan is known for being extremely hands-on and extremely volatile. People who have worked with him describe a management style filled with yelling and screaming, and when things do not go his way, heads roll. So AECOM gets fired, lawsuits start flying, and the construction costs begin to spiral out of control. By February 2020, the budget officially jumps to $1.66 billion, but even that number is not going to hold. As construction continues through 2021 and 2022, the team faces problem after problem. Remember, they are building something that has never been built before. The LED panels have to be custom made, the acoustic system has to be designed from scratch, and the structural engineering to hold this massive sphere together while keeping the inside completely open with no pillars blocking views is incredibly complex. Every time they solve one problem, 3 more pop up, and each solution costs money, lots and lots of money. By May 2023, when construction finally wraps up, the total cost has ballooned to $2.3 billion. That is almost double the original budget. But Dolan and his team are not worried, because they believe once this thing opens, it is going to print money.
It looks like you're done. What are you most excited about?
I'm excited about the people coming here.
Spoiler alert, it does not. September 29th, 2023 finally arrives, and the sphere opens to the public with a bang. The first residency is U2, one of the biggest rock bands in the world, and tickets are expensive. The average opening night ticket costs $391, and some premium seats are going for $1,500 each. The visuals are absolutely stunning, the sound is perfect, and people are blown away by the experience. Social media explodes with videos of the Sphere's exterior showing massive animations. The inside looks like something out of a science fiction movie, and everyone is calling it the future of entertainment. For a few weeks, it looks like Dolan's crazy bet is going to pay off. But then November 3rd, 2023 happens, and everything falls apart. The company releases its first quarterly earnings report, and the numbers are absolutely brutal. The Sphere lost $98.4 million in just the first 3 months of operation. How is that even possible, you might wonder? Well, let me break it down for you. First of all, the deal with U2 is absolutely terrible for the Sphere. U2 gets 90% of all ticket revenue, and the Sphere only gets 10%. You read that right, 90% goes to the band. So even though tickets are selling for hundreds of dollars, the venue is barely making anything from them. The Sphere has to cover all the operational costs, which include staffing, utilities for a building, covered in over 1 million LEDs. Trust me, those electricity bills are insane, maintenance and all the other expenses that come with running a massive entertainment venue. On top of that, creating content for this thing is ridiculously expensive. Remember that 16K wraparound screen? You cannot just show any regular concert visuals on it. Artists have to create custom content specifically designed for this unique format, and that costs millions of dollars. For example, they tried to produce a version of The Wizard of Oz for the Sphere, and even though they cut it down to just 1 hour, it still cost $80 million to produce. $80 million for 1 hour of content. That is absolutely insane. But wait, there is more. Just days after this terrible earnings report comes out, the chief financial officer Gautam Ranji resigns. He had only been in the job for 11 months, and according to reports, he quit after getting into a heated argument with James Dolan. When your CFO quits right after revealing massive losses, that is never a good sign. It shows that there is serious trouble behind the scenes, and the people who understand money the best do not want to be anywhere near this project. But surely things will get better, right? Unfortunately, no. The second quarter results come in and the Sphere lost $193 million. The third quarter? $142 million in losses. By the end of the first year of operation, the total operating loss is $507 million. Let me put that in perspective. They spent $2.3 billion to build this thing, and in the first year alone, they lost another $500 million just operating it. Now you might be thinking, okay, but surely big name artists will want to perform there and turn things around. Well, here is the problem. After seeing the U2 deal, every major artist now wants the same terms, or even better. Beyoncé, Lady Gaga, all the big names, they all want 90% or more of the ticket revenue. Why would they accept less when U2 got such a sweet deal? And remember, they also have to spend millions creating custom content for the Sphere's unique screen. Most touring artists already have their stage setups and visual content ready to go. They can roll into any arena in the world, plug in their equipment and do their show. But the Sphere is different. You cannot just bring your regular show there. You have to completely redesign everything specifically for that venue, which means spending months and millions of dollars on production that you can only use in that one location. For most artists, it simply does not make financial sense. But the problems do not stop there.
Crowds and a lot of noise are expected at the MSG Sphere this weekend.
Residents living near the Sphere start complaining about noise and the bright lights from the exosphere keeping them awake at night. Lawsuits start piling up. Then there are the design flaws that nobody noticed until people actually started using the building. You know those expensive premium seats in section 100 that cost up to $1,500? Well, it turns out many of them have completely obstructed views. The way the Sphere is designed there is an overhang that blocks the screen for certain seats. Imagine paying $1,500 for what is supposed to be the ultimate visual experience, and all you can see is a concrete ceiling. The complaints roll in, and the company has to deal with angry customers demanding refunds. James Dolan tries to expand the concept and announces plans for a second sphere in London. He spends 5 years working on approvals and planning, but in the end, local politicians reject the project. The people of London do not want a giant glowing ball messing up their skyline and causing noise problems. So that expansion plan dies completely. The company is now stuck with just one sphere that is hemorrhaging money and no path to build more venues that could spread out the development costs and create economies of scale. Dolan's response to all this criticism, he compares the sphere to the first pancake you make. He literally tells investors and media that you always mess up the first pancake, but then the rest come out fine. He is calling a $2.3 billion investment a throwaway pancake. Let that sink in for a moment. Wall Street is not buying it. Analysts start issuing sell ratings on the stock. They point out that the business model is fundamentally broken. You cannot run a profitable venue when you only keep 10% of ticket revenue and your operating costs are through the roof. They calculate that even if the Sphere was packed every single night of the year, which it is not, it still would not make enough money to cover its costs and pay back the massive construction debt. The math simply does not work. Some business experts start comparing Dolan's management to other successful CEOs like Tim Cook at Apple, and the contrast is shocking. While Cook built one of the most valuable companies in the world through careful planning, sustainable business practices, and keeping ego in check, Dolan built a monument to his own vision without thinking through whether it could actually make money. So what went wrong? How did such an ambitious project with cutting-edge technology turn into such a disaster? There are several key reasons. First, the fundamental business model was flawed from the start. Dolan and his team were so focused on building something amazing that they never stopped to ask whether it made financial sense. They assumed that if you build something cool enough, people will come and money will follow. But that is not how business works. You need a sustainable revenue model, and the Sphere does not have one. Second, the construction went way over budget because they fired their general contractor and tried to manage everything themselves without the expertise to do so. This is a classic mistake that happens in big projects when egos get involved. Third, they made terrible deals with performers. Giving away 90% of ticket revenue might have made sense to attract a big name like U2 for the opening, but it set a precedent that destroyed any chance of profitability going forward. Fourth, they did not account for how expensive it would be to create content for such a unique venue. In hindsight, this seems obvious, but apparently nobody on the team thought through the implications of building a screen that requires completely custom content for every show. Fifth, the venue has serious design flaws like those obstructed view seats.
Do not get 100 level seats. Section undercover.
That should have been caught during planning, but somehow made it into the final product. Sixth, they faced external challenges like lawsuits and regulatory problems that added to the financial burden. And finally, the leadership style created chaos. When your CFO quits after less than a year, and reports suggest the CEO creates a toxic work environment through yelling and irrational decision-making, you have a recipe for disaster. Good leadership is essential for navigating complex projects, and by all accounts, Dolan's leadership made things worse, not better. Now, here is the really fascinating part. Despite being a financial catastrophe, the Sphere is actually an incredible achievement from a technology and engineering standpoint. The people who built this thing solved problems that nobody had ever solved before. They created display technology that did not exist, acoustic systems that are genuinely revolutionary, and architectural solutions that pushed the boundaries of what is possible. If you go see a show there, the experience really is unlike anything else in the world. The visuals are mind-blowing, the sound is perfect, and you genuinely feel immersed in a way that no other venue can match. So, in that sense, the Sphere is a massive success. The problem is that being technologically impressive does not pay the bills. You can have the most amazing product in the world, but if you cannot figure out how to make money from it, you are going to fail. This brings up a bigger question that goes beyond just the Sphere. How many other projects out there are driven more by ego and vision than by sound business planning? History is full of examples of brilliant engineers and creative geniuses who built amazing things that failed commercially. The difference between success and failure often comes down to whether someone has the discipline to ask the hard questions about profitability before spending billions of dollars. Dolan clearly did not ask those questions, or if he did, he ignored the answers because he was so convinced his vision would work. There is also a lesson here about the dangers of being first. Dolan wanted to build something that had never been built before, and he succeeded in that goal. But being first means you have to figure everything out yourself. You pay for all the mistakes, all the trial and error, all the development costs. If the Sphere concept actually works, someone else could come along, learn from all of Dolan's mistakes, build a better version for less money, and reap the rewards. This is the first pancake problem that Dolan talked about.
This is experiential. And
Except in business, the first pancake costs $2.3 billion, and you do not get to just throw it away and try again. So where does the Sphere go from here? That is the billion-dollar question, literally. The company needs to figure out how to fix the business model fast. They need to either negotiate better deals with performers or find alternative revenue streams that do not depend on concerts. Some experts have suggested they could do more corporate events, product launches, or even esports tournaments. Others think they should focus on creating their own content like films designed specifically for the Sphere and charging admission like a theme park attraction. But all of these ideas require more investment, and there is no guarantee any of them will work. The company is already drowning in debt, and investors are losing patience. There is also the question of whether Dolan will stay in charge. If losses continue, shareholders might demand new leadership. But Dolan has controlling interest in the company, so removing him would be complicated. In the meantime, every month that passes with continued losses makes the situation more desperate. The Sphere is like a massive ship that is taking on water. You can bail as fast as you want, but unless you plug the hole, you're eventually going to sink. Right now, the Sphere is bailing water by booking shows and trying to generate revenue, but the fundamental hole in the business model has not been fixed. One possibility that some analysts have mentioned is that the Sphere could eventually be sold. Maybe a deep-pocketed buyer like a tech company or a sovereign wealth fund might see value in acquiring it for less than it costs to build. They could write off the construction costs as sunk and focus only on making the ongoing operations profitable. But even that is a long shot because anyone looking at the numbers can see what a money pit this thing is. You would have to be either very optimistic or very foolish to take on this project at this point. What makes this story so compelling is that it has everything you want in a business drama. You have a larger-than-life character in James Dolan who swings for the fences with a crazy idea. You have cutting-edge technology that pushes boundaries. You have massive amounts of money at stake. You have conflict with contractors, regulators, neighbors, and even the CFO quitting. You have design flaws and customer complaints. And you have the slow-motion train wreck of watching losses pile up quarter after quarter, while everyone wonders how this is going to end. It is like watching a disaster movie, except it is all real, and there are billions of real dollars involved. The Sphere also raises interesting questions about the future of entertainment. Are we going to see more venues like this that try to create immersive experiences that go beyond traditional concerts? Or is the Sphere going to scare everyone away from trying because they saw how badly it can go wrong? Technology keeps advancing, and there is definitely an audience for experiences that feel more like virtual reality or theme park attractions than traditional performances. But someone needs to figure out how to make the economics work. Maybe the lesson is that the technology needs to be scalable. If you create something so unique that content can only be used in one location, you limit your potential. But if you create technology that can be replicated in multiple venues or that works with existing content, then you have a better chance of success. In conclusion, the Las Vegas Sphere is one of the most fascinating business stories of our time. It shows what happens when vision outpaces planning, when ego trumps logic, and when being first means paying for every mistake. It is a cautionary tale for anyone who thinks that if you just build something cool enough, everything else will work itself out. Business does not work that way. You need a sustainable model, good leadership, careful financial planning, and the discipline to make hard choices even when they go against your vision. James Dolan had the vision and the resources to build something truly remarkable, but he did not have the business sense to make it profitable. Now, the Sphere stands in Las Vegas as both a technological marvel and a financial disaster. A $2.3 billion reminder that in business even the most spectacular ideas can fail if the fundamentals are not right. Whether the Sphere can turn things around remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: this story is far from over, and whatever happens next is going to be just as dramatic as everything that has happened so far. So keep watching this space, because when you are dealing with billions of dollars and massive egos, anything can happen, and it usually does. And just when you think you've heard it all, one incident defied every explanation. Click the video on your screen to uncover how 42 guards were found unconscious. And what happened next will leave you speechless.